She's smiling at the altar, but is she marrying the man she loves or the man who was just there? Studies say 90% of women don't marry their true love, and the reason why might shock you. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and join us as we uncover the truth about love, psychology, and traditional wisdom. She stood there in white, radiant and composed, yet if you looked closely enough, you might see something hidden behind her eyes. Not regret, not sadness, but a quiet knowing, a moment of truth that every bride feels, though few speak aloud. The truth that love, the kind that sweeps you off your feet and burns like wildfire, isn't always the kind you marry. In fact, it rarely is. We begin our story here, not with statistics, but with the human heart. In every generation, women have carried silent stories of first loves, impossible loves, the ones who got away. They rarely make it to the altar. Instead, the man she marries is the one who is there at the right time, in the right place, with the right readiness. He may not be the one who made her write poems in the margins of notebooks, or the one who made her cry under the stars, but he is the one who offers a steady hand, a calm presence, and a future. This quiet reality isn't new. It's woven through the pages of literature, whispered in grandmothers' kitchens, and felt deep in the bones of tradition. It's not about settling. It's about choosing wisely, choosing a life, not just a feeling. Because love, in its most fiery form, is often fleeting, but life, built day by day, requires something sturdier. The man she loves. Every woman has a story, often untold, of a man she loved before she ever considered marriage. He might have been her first love, the boy with wild eyes and dangerous dreams. Or he was the artist, the thinker, the man who made her feel seen in ways she didn't know she needed. These are the men who awaken something deep, even primal. They don't ask for permission to enter the heart. They simply arrive all at once. This man is intoxicating. When she was younger, she thought he was the only kind of love that counted. The one that hurt, the one that felt like flying and falling all at once. But as time passes, the winds shift. Life begins to demand more stability, structure, certainty. That man, the one she loved with everything, he wasn't made for the long road. He didn't stay, or couldn't, or didn't want to, and even if he did, he wasn't ready. Still, he leaves a mark. Every woman carries a shadow of him, tucked away like a pressed flower in a book. A reminder of who she once was, not necessarily a wound, but a whisper of what it felt like to burn the man she marries. Then, somewhere along the way, another man arrives. He's quieter, not less important, but less dramatic. He doesn't come crashing into her life. He walks in, gently, respectfully. He learns her rhythms. He brings calm instead of chaos. He may not have been the one she dreamed about at 16, but he's the one who shows up, day after day, moment after moment. He listens, he builds, he stays. And slowly, a different kind of love grows. A deeper one, rooted in respect, in kindness, in mutual vision. This man is ready. He isn't afraid of commitment. He wants a home, not just a moment. And when he asks her to marry him, he means it. Not just the ceremony, but everything that comes after. Bills, children, illness, old age, the quiet Tuesdays and the frantic Sundays. Some might call him the safe choice. But safe is not the same as boring. Safe is what allows love to grow roots. Without it, love can't endure, so she says yes. And she means it. She walks down the aisle not with butterflies, but with clarity. Why the heart and the head divide? So why is it that so many women don't marry the man they loved most? The answer lies not in cynicism, but in design, both human and divine. The heart wants wonder, but the soul needs shelter. The woman who once longed to be swept away now longs to be held steady. Psychologists will say it's biology. That as women mature, they begin to prioritize long-term security. That the hormone-driven passion of youth is replaced by the wisdom of adulthood. And there's truth in that. But it's more than just chemistry. It's the realization that love, real love, is not always about who makes your heart race, but who makes your heart rest. The man who lets her exhale. The one who doesn't require her to perform, to chase, to earn, but simply loves her as she is. She may still remember the one who got away. She might even wonder, sometimes in quiet moments, what life would have been like had he stayed. But when she looks across the dinner table and sees the man who built a life with her, who carried her through sickness, who made their child laugh, who sat beside her in silence without needing words, she knows. She didn't settle. She chose what tradition always knew. Before the age of modern romance, our ancestors understood this truth well. Love was not a prerequisite for marriage, it was a product of it. They believed love could be cultivated like a garden, not just caught like a fever. Grandmothers married men their fathers approved of. Wives learned to love their husbands over time, not because they were forced, but because they believed in duty, family, and legacy. And often, that love grew stronger than any fleeting passion could have. In arranged marriages where compatibility was prioritized over chemistry, many found a quiet joy that outlasted youthful fantasies. Because tradition understood that passion is seasonal, but character, faith, and shared purpose, those are eternal. We may scoff at such ideas now. We live in a time where feelings are everything, where love is expected to be thrilling every day, but ask the couples who've been married 50 years. They'll tell you the secret isn't constant excitement. It's forgiveness, grace, endurance, the quiet wisdom of choosing well. In the end, the woman who marries the man who is ready, kind, and steady, she may not have fireworks in her chest every morning, but she wakes up with peace. She walks through life with a partner, not a question mark. She remembers the one she loved before, some with fondness, others with a touch of sadness, but she doesn't regret, because what she chose was not just a husband, but a life. And love, it blooms, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, but it comes, not always with drama, but always with devotion. The world may chase the highs, the spark, the fantasy, but the wise know, it's not about who you fall for, it's about who stays, who shows up, who builds, who believes. So no, 90% of women may not marry the man they once loved with reckless abandon, but many marry the man who loves them with quiet strength, and in that there is not loss, but great enduring gain, because in the end, love that stays is greater than love that burns out. And sometimes, the greatest love story is the one that begins not with a spark, but with a steady flame that never goes out. And when the years pass, and silver threads her hair, she'll look back on the choice she made, not with doubt, but with certainty. For she didn't chase a whirlwind, but welcomed a harbor. She didn't gamble her heart, but entrusted it to someone who guarded it fiercely and gently. And in that wisdom, there was power. To the young woman still wondering if she's supposed to marry the one who sets her world on fire, know this: embers last longer than flames, and the one who tends your heart daily will matter more than the one who broke it beautifully. One day, perhaps many years from now, she'll tell her daughter this truth, softly and without shame, that the greatest loves are often the quietest ones. The ones who stayed. Because when you build a life, it is not the grand gestures that hold it together. It is the shared glances, the hands reaching across bedsheets in the dark, the laughter over dinner, the arguments that end in understanding, the ordinary moments stacked like bricks. That is the architecture of lasting love. And in the end, she doesn't need the world to understand her choice. She only needs to know that she made it, and that in making it, she built something unshakable, something sacred, something that outlasts time. She didn't marry who she loved at first. She married who loved her last, and he loved her best. And somewhere in the quiet hum of everyday life, in the soft ticking of clocks and the rustle of newspapers over morning coffee, that love deepens in ways youth could never predict. She begins to see it not as a replacement for what was lost, but as something wholly its own, a love that doesn't demand to be proven or constantly reassured. It just is. In the evening, when the children are asleep and the house is still, she sits beside him in worn silence. They've said all there is to say, not because they've run out of words, but because they've come to understand each other beyond them. That too is love, the kind that isn't measured in passion, but in peace. She has learned that marriage is not the fairy tale she once dreamed, nor is it the compromise she once feared. It is a long unfolding story with many chapters, some loud and others hushed, but each one written together. And in that shared narrative, she finds herself more fully than she ever did in the arms of fleeting passion. When storms come, as they always do, she finds that he is not a shield that blocks the rain, but a roof that keeps her warm beneath it. He doesn't rescue her from the world, he walks through it with her. And that partnership, built on endurance and grace, becomes the foundation of a life not just lived, but cherished. Perhaps if she were younger, she would still yearn for fireworks, but now she prefers the quiet glow of a hearth, the kind you come home to. And every time she sees him caring for their children, or fixing the porch steps, or waiting for her in the car with the heater running, she remembers, love isn't always a declaration. Sometimes it's just showing up again and again. Years will pass. Photographs will fade, but the feeling of safety of being known and accepted without condition, that remains. That outlasts everything. She knows the world outside still sells a story of perfect romance, shiny, spontaneous, and spectacular. But she also knows better now. She knows the true miracle lies not in love found, but in love maintained, and in that maintenance, the repairs, the forgiveness, the choosing each other again each day, she discovers the kind of romance that truly matters. A love not based on who they were at their best, but who they were at their realest, flawed, aging, honest. Because at the heart of it, marriage isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about finding someone whose imperfections you're willing to love, whose burdens you're willing to carry, and whose life you're willing to intertwine with your own. Not in fantasy, but in the everyday. So when her hair is more silver than gold and his hands are slower but still sure, they will sit on the porch in quiet contentment, not with passion that scorches, but with a warmth that stays. And she will smile, knowing that though she didn't marry the man who took her breath away, she married the one who gave her room to breathe. And that, in the end, made all the difference. Thank you for joining us in this heartfelt reflection. If this story resonated with you, please like the video, subscribe for more timeless insights, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Let's bring back the beauty of lasting love, one story at a time. Until next time, stay true, stay kind, and remember, sometimes love grows best where it's quietly tended.